Well, folks, it's all over.
The end.
Game of Thrones, it's finished. Game of Thrones, television series, like the bedrock of our lives. Yours in particular.
Well, these Mondays anyway.
Yeah, no more Mondays for us. We're done. Fired, probably. Because this is a terrible
We've
show.
outlived our usefulness.
Yeah, we're going to put out to pasture until we resurrect our Fair City review series. First off, on the discussion plate, Owen, we have to talk about Queen Daenerys Targaryen and her lengthy reign.
1 day reign. Yeah.
She did all right.
Yeah, she did. Well, she didn't do great, did she? After all,
I only saw the first half of her reign. So what happened at the end?
Nothing. No, it was all.
All right. So, John, all right, let's talk about the start. Like, how bleak was that opening?
I think that they kind of made amends for the last episode in some ways, where they kind of rationalized some of the pain she'd gone through and why she might have done that, and then also pointed out just how ridiculously inexcusable it was to kill all those civilians.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. Yeah, she never even got to sit down on the oak.
Yeah, which is a shame in a way, because it's all she's wanted, really. And like, I mean, we have to talk about her armies, her amazing regenerative armies. I have actually come up with the notion that when the Dothraki charged the army of the dead in episode 3, the Battle of Winterfell, when all the torches went out, I think half of them just went hiding.
That was just them splitting
up.
up.
We're just like, and then they just took off, and they're like, we'll see in episode 5.
Yeah, they're still going.
Yeah, like, I just don't understand how they all seem to keep being. Yeah. Like, do we not recall all the majority, if not all of the Unsullied being killed? And they said, we'll hold off the dead while ye close off the
Yeah,
trench.
absolutely. Yeah, they lost like half of them or something.
Yeah, all their armor's nice.
I don't know. Yeah, they were real invaders at the start of this episode. They were portrayed as like.
Absolutely. And then you move on to in the throne room with Jon. She's obviously full of trust for him. She thinks she's achieved everything. Like, she had no guards, Grey Worm wasn't around. And he shifted her and shanked her.
The old shift and shank.
Oh, here, fight a nickel. Like,
yeah.
It's obviously crushing for her to be betrayed by him, because she's essentially been betrayed by everyone except Grey Worm. And, you know, the people that were killed, like Jorah and Missandei, they were obviously very much on the team Daenerys. I think she had to die, really. And whopping 58% of entertainment.ie readers had predicted that she was the most likely to die. And that, I think, was 41% said she would be the first to die. So, great call. Most of you on the first part.
Just a bit less than half.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I thought, it was, again, Jon had to do the right thing. He's so moral or whatever.
Yeah.
But you have to feel for her. I mean, again, they sped up that storyline like mad this last season. And I think overall, it's been a season of ups and downs.
Yeah.
And overall, though, I was very satisfied with the finale. To an extent.
Yeah, I think
they made amends for a lot of stuff, and they've done their best to wrap it up, but it is very kind of tidy.
Yeah, it is tidy. There aren't a whole lot of open ends, but we'll come back to that later. And I think it was about, as you said, as satisfactory an ending as you could have had for the series. Now, to move on to, say, when Drogon sensed she had died. Now, we discussed this last week. We were like, if Dany was to die, what's going to happen with Drogon? Turns out
he didn't get crushed by that castle. Like,
Owen did predict that a castle would fall on him. However,
came close.
I don't think any one of us would have predicted that he would have just melted down the Iron Throne and left.
Yeah. So, like, there's been some debate about this morning, and I still can't wrap my head around. Is it that the dragon, like a puppy or whatever, is like, oh my God, she's got a knife in her. I bet it was that block of knives over there, and then destroys it. And then other people are saying dragons are incredibly intelligent and is going like, damn this, everything the throne symbolizes, I'm going to burn it. I don't know which side I come down on. I think he was just about to hit Jon, then goes, I'm going to shoot off flames to the right a little bit, but it doesn't matter.
Like in Point Break. When Keanu Reeves is pointing the gun at Patrick Swayze,
he's shooting his fire at the throne.
And then he shoots it in the air. I think that's what happened there. He just needed to vent. Yeah. Sometimes we all need a bit of a vent, folks, and he clearly went.
And then he rode
town.
off with the
And then he picked up Dany and took off. Now, I was of the opinion that Jon should have just a few of the ashes put him over the blood and be like, oh, she's just...
Yeah, at least pull the knife out.
She's just popped away there for... she said she'd be back in 6 months.
Yeah.
So I'll just look after everything.
But I mean, like, if we were going to nominate who was going to be on the Iron Throne at the end, we probably would have said there will still be a throne and Jon could be on it. So
yeah,
he had a real fall from grace in the last episode.
He absolutely did. And
in terms of fortunes or whatever.
Yeah, he really had a crisis of emotion. And we're going to come to that right now. Tyrion Lannister, Daenerys' hand. He had quite the hand to play in the whole scenario. That's definitely the first time I've said that. And so he obviously, we opened the whole episode from Tyrion's point of view, as we do a lot of these kind of bleak scenarios or more kind of profound.
He's led us along the way,
Yeah, so his first thing was to go and see had his family, Jaime and Cersei, escaped. They hadn't.
No, I feel like they maybe didn't need to hammer home he just instantly goes picking through the bricks or whatever, but...
Yeah, I think he found them remarkably easily.
Yeah.
And it seems that if they had
And they were surrounded by a clear floor.
If they had stood 20 feet to the left, I mean, rather than gazing into each other's eyes, perhaps they could have looked at the ceiling.
We need to be solid. Anywhere else.
Let's stay under that.
Yeah, I was poignant though, yeah.
It was poignant, and it did, and the Rains of Castamere playing as well, it was a nice moment, and he what an actor. He's definitely been, for me anyway, the best actor throughout the series.
But because I was just about to say, for me, I think Jaime's arc throughout the whole show has been one of the most interesting. I think he's been fantastic or whatever.
No, it has been brilliant.
But,
and for Tyrion then to essentially, you could consider it signing his own death warrant by going up to Dany and flinging the hand pin down the stairs, and she obviously was aware that he had set Jaime free. Took off anyway, he's in prison. We kind of thought his fate was sealed. A lot like Varys's at the start of the previous episode.
It was exactly what we were giving out about last thing. It's like, you find out about 10 minutes later, one episode later, that Varys was right, and... Yeah, I don't know. He died so needlessly.
The way Tyrion was talking to Jon, and
at least they they acknowledged.
Varys' ashes can tell my ashes, I told you so.
Yeah.
And that would have been quite the conversation. Hope there wouldn't have been a stiff breeze.
And while we're on Tyrion as well, I know we're going to get to the king shortly, but when he finally got handed that book of Ice and Fire and he's not in it.
I did not care for that.
I laughed.
I thought it was a cheap laugh. It was.
Yeah.
That was fan service. I mean, come on, Tyrion's been one of the integral characters.
That's the point, Jay. He's almost the pure protagonist,
Yeah, and it was obviously Tyrion, as you say, Jon killing Daenerys, it was quite an inner conflict he's been going through for a couple of episodes now.
Yeah.
Because he's very much out of his comfort zone, because his whole thing for years has been Night King.
Yeah.
He's gone. And then he was essentially just a subject for the last couple
of episodes.
Absolutely,
yeah.
And to see Daenerys name Grey Worm the Master of War, I was like, oh, he's not right when she turns around to look at him.
I feel like that was just teeing him up to have a role in the last episode after she's gone, kind of thing. But
to be fair, as it worked out, that's absolutely how it was. But the argument could have been made that if she had more faith in Jon at that point, that he would have been in the conversation.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
And Tyrion obviously was the straw that broke the camel's back, essentially, which motivated Jon to...
It was good to see that there is now a Lannister hand again, and that he has seen it. I mean, geez, what do you make of... It's hard to talk about him without talking about the entire ending of the entire show. He's been so instrumental to the whole thing.
Yeah, he's been one of the few, I suppose, who've been there episode 1, series 1, and has made it through the entirety of it. And he has, there have been certain episodes where he's been far and away, in the first season in particular.
Yeah,
he was such an incredible actor, and he's
so
that
human
all the way through. And others have I would almost say he's kind of led by example in that regard, in the acting stakes, and people have really stepped up to the mark, because some people have really improved their performances as the season.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's a nice, satisfying end, I would say, for him. I mean, he could have been killed.
Yeah, I mean, I liked that parley scene where he had to convince all the lords, what does everybody love most? stories.
Yeah, absolutely. And now it is time to move on to that pivotal scene, which, I mean, had anyone predicted it? Let's have a chat. All hail Bran the Broken. What a name.
But yeah, that title as well. Could we just say Bran? Bran the Broken.
Yeah, Bran the
No
Aegis.
legs at all.
Wow.
Kingy no legs.
Yeah, that's what they call him.
Yeah. I suppose it's a homage back to Bran the Builder.
I think it is,
full
yeah.
circle, he's broken the wheel.
And I think it did. I actually thought it came out a bit of nowhere.
Yeah, I was still surprised, to be honest.
The way you mentioned there just before that Tyrion was like, what matters most? Stories.
Yeah.
I mean, they've always said it.
We all love a good laugh.
I mean, it is called the Game of Stories.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and just like immediately previous to that, Grey Worm was like, no, you're not allowed to talk. And he's like, yeah, you're absolutely right, I shouldn't talk. However,
if
I'm
I were
gonna
to talk
for 7 minutes and I'm going to
it
say
should be this lad.
he should be king.
He should get away with it, and me too. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Crucially, I should be free.
And they just shot down democracy. I was so sure that was going to be like the big finale, was that, okay, we're just going to finally elect. I suppose they came halfway. They've got like lords electing the king and stuff, but
I think that
it's
could
a
have been
new age for Westeros.
That could have been a really Disney moment.
Yeah.
If like it's almost like the end of a Barney episode. It's like, hey, why don't we try democracy?
Yeah.
And then they all just laughed him out of the building, which it was pretty funny. But again, I think it was a bit of a cheap laugh again.
But I mean, like, the whole show was quite cut and dry in that there has been a good bit of fan service and it's quite a clean end.
Yeah.
But that said, it's been really enjoyable. Like, I think the idea of Bran as Westeros doesn't need another warrior king, and at least but he can be anywhere at all times. Like, why would he even need a master of whispers? He's got like omnipotence.
I would say, yeah. I mean, he can pretty much not imagine. He can see every conversation that he wants.
Yeah.
However, I would think the Master of Whispers will essentially be his PR department. They'll be his propaganda. They'll be like, because he's not the warmest of characters.
Yeah, and he's pretty chill.
Can we actually just go back for a second to like, he's been so aloof, he's been so blank for the whole season. And then it's like, will you be the king? And he's like, well, I'll tell you, Pally. What do you think I came all this way here for, huh?
That was probably my favorite thing. It was like, there was definitely, he almost became, or like, people wanted him to be Lord of Winterfell. And he was like, but I'm the three-eyed raven. And then it's like, why do you think I came down here? Like, of course I want to be king.
Yeah,
Woo!
I think that was just, I think they purposely like kind of focused that shot before Tyrion, was talking about the stories and the significance of stories.
Yeah.
Because I always want the best storytellers to be president. Look at Michael D. Higgins. He is
very good storyteller.
Shanachie.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of those shots were focusing on Sansa. And
yeah, you
think
really
it was
thought
like
she might get elected.
We were basically being double bluffed there, kind of thing. And
that was cool.
Like her mugging off Edmure Tully, excuse me.
Yeah, her uncle or whatever.
Wonderful.
And then also the like, and by the way, the North isn't going to be part of it or whatever. And like,
and then you
Six
saw,
Kingdoms
like,
it is.
The Greyjoys and the Dorn Crow, just like,
could we? Yeah, he could have been king of the Three Kingdoms or whatever.
Yeah,
like.
but I feel like, you know,
it's very wrapped up in a neat little package.
That's absolutely what it was. And I think just to stay on that, like the Greyjoys, like Yara being one of the crowd laughing at the notion of democracy. I know it wasn't strictly democracy, but when they were
she was
nominated,
elected.
like she was elected, or she was close to being elected, and
silly
then
imp.
Pipped her at the post. Like, it's like, who's this idiot? Democracy, we're not having.
But yeah, and what about his High Council? Yeah, got Sir Davos. We've got Brienne Tarth as head of the Kingsguard now. With Sir Pod.
Yeah, I think there's a lot to unpack, and actually, rather than unpacking, I think there's a lot to pack here.
Oh.
So we're gonna give it its very own section.
Oh.
All right, so Owen, we are going to start with King's Landing. Do you feel like that was resolved?
Yeah, I think they did a good. The show overall maybe it was tilted at the last second very heavily in this direction, but the whole idea that people are always going to become the tyrants they want to defeat, and Daenerys is like unbroken wheel. I feel like there is a new age for King's Landing, and except for all those people who died.
Yeah, it's very Thanos-esque.
Yeah, I don't know.
I think one of the scenes, I think there were two kind of pivotal scenes, because everyone would have expected, like, so many people were like, oh, if the last shot is someone sitting on the Iron Throne, like, that it would be a bit of an anticlimax.
Yeah.
I think the two particularly good King's Landing scenes were Brienne
That
writing
was
in the Book
brilliant,
of Nights,
yeah.
and that's a hark back to, I think it was season 4, when Jaime presented her with her Valyrian steel sword and the armor, and she was wearing the Kingsguard armor, and he had stressed to her the importance that it'd be the next.
It's the Lord Commander who writes in the Knight's book or whatever. Yeah,
that they would fill in the story, and he was like, you know, that he has a lot to tell yet, and there was only like a paragraph at the start of his. So that was quite a nice moment. It was it was an emotional.
It was her writing
moment,
his obituary in a way.
I mean, she was never going to go Mean Girls on it.
Yeah.
She was never going to tear strips off him.
It was a strange arc for them too, I think, but it's satisfying in the end. I feel of all, like, at least it was a pretty authentic story.
Yeah.
Whereas some of them felt a bit more contrived. I really liked her arc.
Yeah, she was brilliant. And I think the way she signed off with died protecting his queen, because obviously there was that
she knows he
on
chose
him
Cersei
all
or
that
whatever.
time
Yeah.
for being the Kingslayer, essentially.
Yeah.
And for him to have that roundabout and like to die protecting one ruler, for want of a better term.
Yeah.
It's an honourable way to go. When like history will be kind to him, I would say.
Yeah,
when they look
exactly.
back at the Book of Nights with the likes of Barris and Selmy and all that. The second scene, then, I would say the new small council.
Yeah, sure.
And I quite like the way Tyrion, before anyone came in, he straightened up the chairs and he was like, right, we're all business. And then he sits in and he kind of nervously kind of shifted in the chair at the start when the lads came in. And then the lads came in, they're just pulling chairs around. And it's very
Grand
much,
Maester
it's a new era,
Samuel.
is what it is, yeah. It's very much a new era.
Yeah, because you did know who was going to come in there. I suppose Bronn has Highgarden now off the Tyrells.
Bronn as Master of Coin. Is that necessarily fiscally responsible?
We've got a Master of Ships now in Sir Davos. He's a good smuggler lad.
Yeah, and we spoke about the Master of Whispers, the necessity there.
Did they say who that was?
No, they said they're going to get a Master of Whispers and a Master of War.
Just make Bran do it again.
Yeah, I mean, sure, he's been so good at everything. He can remember all the best wars. He can remember all the best whispers.
Yeah, I suppose he knows great whispers.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that was a nice, succinct, and I like the way that they kind of left it as they were starting to discuss policy, because it has come up in previous interviews that George R.R. Martin, the author of the Game of Thrones series of books, that he was critical of previous kind of fantasy stories or war stories that were written where it was like, and then they won the war and everything was great and they would have to happily ever after. And he said he'd always been interested in the, like,
policy and
how do they go about ruling there?
Yeah, you do get a sense of that.
Like that, that they have to establish policies and like diplomacy and all this kind of stuff. So that was quite a nice little touch. I thought. To move on to Winterfell then, Sansa is Queen of the North. Well, yeah, fair play to
those
her.
lads must get sick of raising those swords up.
Yeah. This is true.
Now she's queen. Yeah, but no, it looks like they're finally going to live happily ever after in prosperity.
I think it's a nice redemption for her.
Yeah.
And like she had, like, you want to talk about character arcs, like sure, the very first episode she was lusting after Joffrey.
Exactly,
and, just wanted to be a queen, or like
she's seen through all the lies and stuff.
Kind of thing, like,
I think she's been pretty confident and sewn up this season, to be honest. She's been like a leader throughout, so
absolutely,
it's good to see her vindicated. Or
yeah,
whatever.
no, it's great, and I think like having, obviously, her little brother is the king of the Six Kingdoms, so there should surely be a decent relationship
harmony there. Yeah, I think the one poignant thing was how much the Starks have been split up yet again.
Yeah,
it doesn't end with them all happily together. They all go off and do their own adventures.
Yeah, and Jon Snow, we'll come back to him, told to go back to Castle Black. Like, I don't think it's necessarily the worst result for
Yeah.
him. Like, obviously, like, there's no point in really the Night's Watch. They're all friends.
I
with
feel
the
like everybody
wildlings,
should
the
have
wall is
acknowledged
down.
how useless the
I
King's...
think
or
it was
the
there
Castle
just
Black
to
is.
get the Unsullied and the Dothraki to go, yeah, right, sounds terrible.
We're happy with that.
See you
Let's feck
later.
off. Yeah.
Yeah, so the people on the Night's Watch, they keep the Night King away. He can-
Yeah.
Wait a second.
It was nice that it was surprising that, yeah, so he arrives, the wildlings are there, he's got to travel north of the wall with them.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if he's officially their leader now or Tormund or whatever, but he seems happy.
I think it's the best ending for him realistically, like, because he didn't want to be a ruler. He just wanted to do what was right.
Yeah, and
I
help
think,
people and stuff. Yeah.
Like, it wouldn't have necessarily been good for him to go back and rule in Winterfell because he was in
would have been
Winterfell as
unhappy.
a bastard. Like, I don't think he would have had that great an upbringing there. You look at, like, he went down to King's Landing, didn't really enjoy that, I'd imagine.
yeah.
Because it was just genocide. I mean, if
It's a
you're
nice
into it-
homage to Ygritte as well. It's,
And yeah,
like,
going
it's
up to
probably
Ygritte,
the happiest he was.
I think being north of the wall is where Jon Snow became his own character, became his own man. It was
exactly,
the real foundation of him. So why not go there? I mean, I think he'd be happiest there. He just seems to live simply.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
So that others
And
can
then, of course,
simply live.
Arya off out west.
Yeah, Arya the Explorer. I'm definitely not the first to make that terrible joke, by the way. Anyone who makes it, you're bad jokes. I mean, it's too obvious. I mean, you'd wonder how many photoshops there are of Arya the Explorer. I think
Could she not have stayed put? Yeah, I know. I don't know. She could get her own spin-off show now.
I think
That's
there'd
what...
definitely be a spin-off show. I think Maisie Williams has been great as Arya and has really grown with the role and grown into the role. And I think there's definitely potential there for a spin-off series. Hopefully, you know, it'll go the way of, say, like, Better Call Saul from Breaking Bad as opposed to Joey from Friends.
She's moving to LA
Yeah, like
to be with her
well, she is going
crazy
west.
Italian sisters.
She is going west.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think depending on the way you look at it, there can be a spin-off kind
Yeah.
of thing.
Well, we know we're getting that prequel
yeah,
now.
we're going to
as
get
well,
a prequel
so-
series, and I think it'd probably just be best to focus on that. But you know, the more Game of Thrones, the better, I say.
Yeah, it's left a gap.
Yeah, because you know, as you say, it really has been a Game of Thrones. Ned Stark's poor bastard son, who fell in love, watched her die, died at the Night's Watch, was resurrected, fell in love again, and watched her die. Guiltily this time.
Just a Targaryen who was way better than her brother and freed a load of slaves, but then went mental really quickly and had to be stabbed because we can't have another mental Targaryen on the throne.
Girl who didn't want to be a lady and then learned to steal people's faces and became a ninja, and now looks like she's getting a spin-off.
Girl who wanted to be a lady but then got some very unfortunate suitors, but now she's Queen of the North because men are pigs.
A sister riding Pratt who looked like he was turning into a hero but then didn't. Now, Owen, I'm going to come up with a few quick fire questions at you.
Okay.
Don't worry, it's not about No, it is about Game of Thrones.
All right,
So,
hit
Owen,
me.
I want you to tell me who your favourite character was throughout the series.
Whoa. So many. Isn't the point that it was such an ensemble cast? As I said, I really liked Jaime's arc of redemption and then going back to his roots, and whether he was actually all that good all along or just someone trying to do good but not really giving a shit. I don't know. I just loved how, like, he had all different facets of his character going on. So that's me.
All right.
What's yours?
My what?
Favorite character?
I'd have to say the Hound.
Oh.
I think the Hound never cast any aspersions, never kind of hid his intentions. He was always just like, yeah, I want to do this.
Yeah.
And this is why. There was never any. He was one who never played any part in the Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
He just basically did what he wanted.
And yet he was
or
there.
whatever
Yeah,
suited
fair enough.
him.
Yeah.
And I appreciated that. Plus, he was really cool at fighting, which is very important in my culture. Owen, the best death scene?
Maybe the Hound.
He's
Just
my
nicked your
favourite.
one. But I don't know. I wish, as much as that was a class battle, I wish people hadn't hyped Clegane Ball so much because I think he deserved to not die vengefully chasing his brother for no reason. He should have copped on and gone had a happy life somewhere.
Yeah.
But no, that was a very cool death. Feck, I don't know, Robb Stark maybe.
I think mine would be Ned Stark.
Yeah, exactly. Both of them were just out of nowhere.
We've been so conditioned by other shows up to that point that we were like, someone's going to swoop in and stop them. And then you just saw the sword come down and it's like, oh, this is...
Part of me feels like the latest season was an attempt to get back to those heights of pulling the rug out from under people. Yeah. But once you've gone that far and you've got a narrative to get to, there's only so many huge surprises you can get. I mean, we got the Night King death, we got the dragons getting shot a bit. I don't know. I think the show will always be remembered for those incredible Red Wedding scenes where you're like, but that's not sound or whatever. Like, what about his destiny or whatever? So
yeah, no, I appreciate that, and well, thanks very much for joining me here on the Throne Show. No,
it's been great. Yeah, thank you.
No, we've had a great time, and obviously we've had a fantastic time with Fiona Flynn, the TV editor.
Yeah, sorry to miss her.
This Throne Show was all her brainchild. So if you hated it, it's her fault.
Find her email on entertainment.ie.
And no, I've had a great time. It's been a great season, and this is so corny, but our watch has ended. Owen.
Shut up.
You fed me that.
We should have said it's been a Game of Thrones. Thanks for watching.
Bye, everyone.